Now, Numsa has resumed wage talks with employers today, and Seifsa has urged the union to be realistic in its wage demands. And Kaizer Nyatsumba, who is CEO of Seifsa, joins us now for an update. Morning to you, Kaizer. Good to see you again in just a few days. You did say when you came into the studio earlier in the week that we've kind of already had to write off 2 weeks of the strike. The first strike, we already know it's off. And next week, even if you negotiate and it's successful, it's going to take time to get back to work. That was the state of play a few days ago. Last 24 hours, we've heard reports of intimidation and violence. Update from your perspective.
Good morning. I do wish I had good news to report. Regrettably, I don't. It would appear that the situation is said to be uglier than it already is. There have been incidents of violence on a wide scale on the East Rand and in other parts of the country. We find it very deeply regretful that a spokesperson for the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, at a time when there is clear evidence on the ground of widespread violence, would dare to say we are guilty of propaganda. That is deeply regrettable. We made last night the best possible offer we could have made. Remember, the last time we spoke, we stood at 8% for low-level.
And you said you would be flexible, a little bit flexible.
And we did, we pushed. We had a very lively and heated discussion with members of our associations, and eventually there was an agreement that we should move by 25%, from 8% to 10%. That's where we stand.
And
so
how has that offer been received?
We went into the meeting with Numsa yesterday with that offer. 10% in 2014, 9% in 2015, and 8% in 2015, and it has not been accepted. And what is becoming clearer to us is that things are more political rather than business. We are called upon to ban labor brokers. We can't ban. Only government can ban. This is a call that Numsa has taken up with the ruling party and failed. They want to impose it on business. We are called upon to desist from making use of the youth wage subsidy, to which labor is vehemently opposed. Again, these are political matters. So it is unfortunate that we find ourselves where we are now.
What happens from here on? 10% has been turned down, although it has been said that a double-digit increase could be something that is being considered. What other recourse do you have now?
Regrettably, we will not many. We'll just keep our phones open. If the leadership of Numsa is then willing to talk, we will make ourselves available. But we have done the best we could possibly have done to end the strike.
Kaizer, what about the violence? And I think there are two aspects here. The one is people have said that South Africa seems to be in perpetual strike mode. The platinum strike for 5 months, now the Numsa strike. That's one issue, strikes. Another is violence and intimidation, which almost like is now part of the scenery with the strikes. It's not just for you and the union. This is about the police. It's about public order. It's about protection of human rights, property, life.
I couldn't agree with you more. You know, the most unfortunate thing now is that the unions have been able to create a situation where strikes almost inevitably are accompanied by violence. Violence gets used as a lever to make sure that they get what they want. And it is deeply regrettable. So we have called on the authorities with the responsibility to maintain peace and to enforce the laws of the country to do their work. I had written to the Commissioner of the South African Police Service about a month ago to say we are involved in negotiations, there's a deadlock. We had asked the unions to commit to a peace accord before the negotiations started. They refused. And we think there's a possibility that there might be a violence when a strike takes place. And I wrote again to her on Tuesday following my acceptance of the memorandum handed over to me by the Numsa leadership. I have not, regrettably, received any acknowledgement of receipt of the second letter, and we continue to have people being violated, being harmed, and offices being broken down on the East Rand and elsewhere.
The response by Numsa and with any union where there is violence is usually that it's not their members and that there are other forces that are taking advantage of the situation. Are you finding that that is the case, where there has been violent outbreak? Are these workers that you are aware, or the companies are aware, are associated with Numsa or not?
What we do know for a fact is that the majority of them would arrive at the premises of a company other than the one for which they work wearing Numsa gear. That's what we know. And what we do know is that Numsa is the largest union in the sector, and it is Numsa that is at the forefront of the strike. So those are the things about which I can respond to you definitively on the record on.
What are you going to do differently, your members? Some of them, as you pointed out to me a few days ago, they're small businesses,
Yes,
others are
yes,
big businesses.
indeed.
What are they going to do? Are they going to do lockout? Are they going to say to their workers who want to work, stay at home for your own safety, or are they going to insist that these people are protected, their right to work is protected? And presumably, if this violence is going on, you've got to see arrests.
Well, the majority of them have in fact asked people to stay away from work. Remember, we'd taken the lockout against all unions, and subsequently, following the request from Solidarity, which had not served us with a notice to go on strike, we rescinded that lockout notice. But even members of that union, or indeed white-collar workers, are not able to go to work. So there are many companies that have decided it is best, in order to avoid heightening the violence,
for safety's sake.
Absolutely, indeed, to stay at work, stay
Kaizer,
at home rather.
Thank you for making the time to speak to
You're
us
welcome.
this morning. That was an update from Kaizer Nyatsumba. He's the Chief Executive of Seifsa.